With that, we're going to bring in former NASDAQ and business reporter Krysia Lenzo, as well as business and political commentator John Burnett, both here in studio with us. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Okay, let's start with those markets. So they finished the day up this morning. Futures are mixed ahead of the opening bell. Okay, so the latest CPI numbers, they came out yesterday. So they're showing that inflation cooled significantly last month. But John, are economists pleased with the data? I mean, it's all relative, is it not? I mean, it's still up slightly higher.
It's come down significantly, yes, but it's still high. It's twice the Fed target, inflation rate. The thing is that, when you take out food and energy, you're left with core inflation is still too high, right? And we know that food and energy they've been volatile over the last several years, specifically, during COVID. Post-COVID. The thing is that, Americans are tired of it. Why? Because it's placing a huge burden on their monthly budgets, right? And they're trying to plug those holes with credit. And we know that interest on credit cards have skyrocketed, right? So the working class is really being squeezed.
Just quickly, when will we start feeling it at restaurants, at the grocery store, if it is coming down?
Well, the thing is that, prices don't come down as fast as they go up.
Right.
And it's hard for restaurants to actually manage that. So we're going to actually see these higher prices, both at the grocery store, restaurants, and everywhere else for quite some time. And then the Fed is talking about raising interest rates again in July. So if that happens, you might actually get a little bit more on your savings account, but you're paying for it everywhere else.
Exactly. So how about this? The maker of Instapot and Pyrex Instant Brands has filed for bankruptcy. Krysia, this is quite shocking to me because the company says that one of its products can be found in 90% of homes. I bought a lot of Instant Pots for people in my family a few Christmases ago. What went wrong here?
I mean, it's just one of those typical cases where we've also, as John has mentioned, seen inflation and a supply glut. We're really dealing with the ramifications of the rate hikes and also price increases. And in this case, 90% of homes are using these types of products. Pyrex is a company that's been around for almost 100 years. Corningware, I mean, these are key items in our household. But unfortunately, yes, they're filing for bankruptcy. Chapter 11, it's basically a restructuring. A lot of companies do this to get debt off their books. And in this case, we're hoping they pull through and are able to manage this.
Yeah, they make good products.
Yeah, really good products.
People at home need to understand that, businesses file for bankruptcy for the same reason that individuals do.
Right.
Why? They run out of cash.
Yep, fantastic.
And we know in business, cash is king. So you could be asset rich and cash poor. So the thing is, don't write checks that your assets can't cash.
Very true. Great advice there, John. So speaking of companies that have filed for bankruptcy, Overstock has now bid more than $21 million for the intellectual property of Bed Bath & Beyond. Know how much they've been struggling. So, John, what exactly does that mean?
Well, the thing is that, even in bankruptcy, right, or complete, closure, you still have assets that are valuable, right? And Overstock is making a great move. Why? Because Bed Bath & Beyond still represents good service, good quality products. So why not buy that brand, right, and stick it on generic products?
There you go.
Right? And they have an online strategy, something that Bed Bath & Beyond should have actually figured out years ago.
Definitely.
Instead of getting into these long-term leases that are very expensive when people are actually shopping online.
Everyone's shopping online. So the hits keep coming from crime-ridden San Francisco. Krysia, one of the country's biggest mall owners is now pulling out of the West Coast city. San Francisco, man.
This is a trend that, unfortunately, we will keep seeing if we don't deal with the crime issues in San Francisco. In particular, here, the Westfield Mall is pulling out of San Francisco because they have seen a decline in consumers. They initially had 10 million consumers, now about 6 million coming through their stores. I mean, this is really beyond compare because especially in the Union Square part of San Francisco, T-Mobile pulled out, as well as hotels. They're just not paying their mortgages. I think the Park Hilton, the default, is not paying off their mortgage. People are not investing in a city where they don't feel safe. And this is a trend, unfortunately, that we will continue to see if we don't do something about crime.
And again, when just like people, right, if their mortgage is more than the value of their property, right, they leave, they walk away. They're like, here, bank, here's the keys. And business they do the same thing, right? Businesses do the same thing as consumers. So this is easy to understand and compare. And as Krysia pointed out, who is going to actually take the risk, right, to get more capital at higher interest rates just to try to stay afloat? No, it's better to give up the keys and let homeless and other people move in.
Yeah, go to a safer city. Krysia Lenzo, we will actually see you in just a little bit. John Burnett, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Because